as far as Orville goes, I guarantee you that design-wise, they really raised the bar for season 3, and I thought they were doing pretty good already. God, I mean, the stuff I've seen that I can't talk about.
And it looks beautiful so far. The things that we have seen in the first 2 seasons are beautiful.
You know, I like to tell, Robert Strohmeyer, who's the art director on the show, and this is, I'm not bragging or anything, but I've seen everything, man. For television science fiction. I've lived on the Battlestar Galactica. I lived on the Enterprise D. I lived on Deep Space Nine. I've seen a lot of amazing sets, and there's some stuff in there that's just going to knock you out. Nice. And I cannot wait till people can see some of the stuff. I came in at a real good time to the show because they spiffed up a few things that I got to, put my thumbprint on. And Robert Strohmeyer said that to me. He goes, "Well, you came in at a good time to make an impact." So, and that was it. To have him say that to me was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got this crazy virus. I wish that people would, I don't know what it is, where it's not a big ask to wear a mask,
And it rhymes.
Yeah, and it rhymes too.
That's a meme right there. It's not a big ask. Just wear your mask.
Yeah, we'd be back to work by now, Yeah. And I'm afraid that we're going to see, I don't think we're not out of the woods yet, No. So I don't know when we're going to go back. I hope it's before the new year.
I wanted to second your point, though, that you made about the F-bombs in the new Picard show. And that was something I think that I pointed out, too, as well, Ryan. If I didn't notice it watching it, and I thought it was excessively used. I think I could tolerate maybe one for a moment that was just a point, you want to put extra emphasis on. But I did think it was used too casually. And the other thing that bothered me was when we were doing DS9, one of the things that they made sure we did was stick to the script, and they didn't want certain words that remind us of time periods to be used.
Right.
So, hey, what's happening, man? That's something that's a greeting that we use, that it has a period to it, right?
It's dated.
Yeah, you don't want to date it too much.
Yeah. And so I felt the same thing that you felt, which is I don't see the place for these curse words in the show where it's not necessary. Okay, once in a while for emphasis, you can say a damn or a shit or something like that. But I think it was a little bit excessive to just be dropping F-bombs every time you get mad, because there's different ways to express yourself. And I thought Star Trek was the best at getting that done in a being articulate and being an intelligent show.
Well, right? I know that it was important to Gene Roddenberry to show us it's our better angels, So we've come a long way, and that was always a point on the show, that people were more understanding, more empathy, more sensitivity. To me, that's always been such an important part of Star Trek. I know that writers tend to rebel against that. They feel like they're being wedged into a goody two-shoes type of interaction. But I really, and look, I don't write, I've never written a script before, and I've never been on a writing staff before. So I can understand how you might chafe under that. But I think that maybe it takes a little more work, a little more creativity to figure out how to get your point across emotionally without resorting to what I think is a cheap shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of my favorite shows is Deadwood. You ever see Deadwood? It's a Western. If you haven't seen it, man, HBO. It only lasted 3 seasons, but it's one of the best TV shows ever. The language on that show, there are people who can't watch it because of the language.
I'm listening.
Their favorite word was, you could edit this out, you could bleep this, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
This isn't live, right? Number one word on Deadwood was cocksucker. That cocksucker. Cocksuckers from San Francisco. Holy jeez. When Dorothy and I first watched it, it was like a punch in the eye. Holy, did he just say what I thought he said? And it actually takes you a little while to desensitize yourself to that word. I mean, it's not a word that I really even, I use profanity, but I rarely use that. I rarely use that word.
Yeah.
That's really going for the. But David Milch, who was the writer and creator of the show, he was trying to create this sense of shock. That I'm sure they didn't use the same words we use now, but he had to use words that would shock people today to get that grittiness across on the show. And on a show like Deadwood, it totally works. But if Picard said it,
oh man,
watch Deadwood, man. I'm telling you, give it a few episodes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people echo those sentiments where they just kind of felt like it's a little off-brand. I think that's really what it is it doesn't quite fit with the Star Trek brand. But whatever, it's rebranding. They're doing their own thing.
The only thing I could say is that it's kind of like going to your favorite restaurant and have that sinking feeling when you realize it's under new management.
You mean Hooters?
Restaurant?
What's going on,
girls?
New management?
Hey, we are out of time, though. I'm sorry to say. I did kind of want to ask you a second time, though. Did you have a favorite creation?
Oh yeah, you did ask me that.
Well, I hit you with two questions. That was
you have to fall in love with everything you do, but not to the point where you're married to it, because it could be thrown out just like this.
Mm-hmm.
You could slave over something and go, nope, just like that. But so, there were a lot of challenges and a lot of fun things. I guess that probably, trials and tribulations to recreate the original series sets.
Amazing.
But then when Enterprise started up, I was at Foundation Imaging, and I had worked on Voyager doing visual effects. That was where I was learning how to do CG. And when they did Enterprise, I didn't want to do graphics again. I just done it for 7 years on the show. And I thought that the visual effects aspect was really interesting. But John Eves was doing designs for the NX Enterprise, and he must have done like 30 of them. And the thing I can tell you is that John's terrific. I'm sure they were all good. The thing is about a producer. The thing about a producer is that they will make you do as many as you can until there's no more time, because they want to see every possible thing. They're not going to decide early on that, oh yeah, that's it, when they can make you do another 20. So it got to a point where John had to move on to doing other things. And Mike Okuda said to Herman, why don't you invite Doug back? He's up at Foundation Imaging on Voyager. Have Doug come back. He'll bring everything he learned about CG to the art department. And that's what happened. And it was the first time a ship was designed in the art department using CG. Up until then, it was all sketches. And you know what? If you're a really amazing artist, you can make a turd look fantastic.
Like Sirach does. Great doodles. Great turd doodles.
Turd drawings.
But when you're designing the ship in CG, I could now make a turntable where it turns and you could really see it as the light moves across it. I could animate a shot of it passing by the camera. So I designed the NX with Herman for Enterprise. So to design an Enterprise, actually I've designed two Enterprises. I designed the NX and I designed the J, which was a future Enterprise. Uh-huh. And it's funny, fans are real touchy when it comes to the Enterprise. And they don't like any new Enterprise, I find, basically. They hate the idea of the idea that it's replacing something they already love. But I remember when I did the J, I realized that it was important that when people looked at it, that they say, that's ridiculous. Because if they don't think it looks ridiculous, it means you didn't push it far enough. Right. When I was a kid, and I saw that original series Enterprise, it was unlike any other spaceship up until that time. Up until then, they were rocket ships. They landed on their tails, which is crazy because now they're doing that again. rockets land on their tails. Who would have ever made? It's amazing. So one of the arguments I would have with early fans was the struts that held in the cells. They're so spindly that they'll never support that engine. First of all, it's not an engine, okay? It's holding a generator that creates a warp field. But when I saw those struts, I didn't say that's really stupid. That architecturally could never support. I said, wow, those people understand technologies way beyond us to be able to have struts like that. That's what that said to me. So when I designed the J, I made sure to put things in there that to a 21st century, early 21st century brain, an apes brain, that it would look impossible. If it didn't look impossible, I hadn't pushed it far enough. So I pushed it into the ships. I made it 3 miles long. So, excuse me. But smog.
Yeah.
Where are you guys anyway? Are you in LA or where are you?
Los Angeles, yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
You're in LA too?
Sometime.
Where in LA are you?
I'm in North Hollywood.
Oh, I'm in the Valley too.
Yeah, we should get together. I can show you my toys once all of this is over.
Will I get to say danger, Will Robinson,
Yes.
with that guy behind you? All right.
But you do know what they say about guys that drive big ships.
That draw.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yep.
What do they say, Sarah?
They say they have a nice warp engine,
Okay.
a warp drive.
Sorry about your.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll pretend like we have no idea what that means.
Oh yeah, not at all, not at all.
Anyway, we do have to run. Doug, this has been awesome. We'd love to talk with you again.
Yeah, it was great hanging out with you guys.
Oh yeah.
Tons of
Wow,
fun.
Ciroc, it's amazing to see you.
You too, and I feel like we can do this for like another 10 hours because there's so many questions I have,
Undoubtedly.
and you know everybody. So I mean, when we do this again, I want to ask you some more questions about
Great. I'll look
your
forward to
life
that.
experiences. Yeah, love to do it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
fun.
Hey, lads.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Doug Drexler. Everybody at home,
thank you.
you've seen
Yes,
all of his
everybody at
work
home,
and
thanks
like
for tuning
all
in.
of the Star Trek series. You're going to see his new stuff on the Orville, or as I like to call it, the Snorville. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. I love the
he
Orville.
loves he loves the Orville.
Let me
I
tell
actually
you,
do. I really
behind
like
the
it a lot.
scenes, you won't be sleeping.
Yeah, no, I actually like it a lot. I think
He can't wait for season 3. He knows
Oh,
it.
season 3 is going to be so cool.
Yeah,
Some amazing
no, it
stuff.
really it's
You're right.
captured '90s Star Trek and added a little humor and humanity to it. I think it's beautiful. I think it has achieved what it set out to achieve. I'm really
Seth
happy.
MacFarlane is a pretty amazing guy. I mean, you'd be surprised, but he's actually a very shy person, believe it or not. But look,
Okay.
here's a guy who writes, directs, produces. He's even got albums where he sings. I mean, it's like, what can't this guy do? It's kind of a
Baseball.
little bit of a genius. Baseball?